As students access online resources to support their learning, you may have a need or desire for them to take better notes on those resources. Oftentimes, teachers in face-to-face classrooms will create a notes template for students and then hand those out to the students. But when we're working in a virtual environment, students really may need you to create a notes template for them that helps them stay focused on the instructional task that you really want them to take away from that or learn from that resource. So we're going to build a notes template, something that you could customize for each lesson or resource you share with students in Google Docs. And then I'll show you how to get that over into your note-taking Notability resource on the iPad. So I am going to use tables in Google Docs just to make a neat organized sheet to get started with. So I'm going to insert, and we're actually going to add a couple of tables. My first table will be 3 across, so that's 3 columns, 1 row. Now you'll notice I can shift these around to make them sized more perfectly for our particular needs here, whatever that may be. I can also add additional space. What you want to think about is how much space might they need when they actually take the notes, because when it switches over to notes on the iPad, whatever space you've created for them will be the space they'll be able to work in. So now I'm going to add a second table. Insert, table. I'm only going to make it, again, 1 row, 2 columns. I can now adjust this out. Okay, so now you can see the bulk of my notes are going to be in that element of it. And then I'll add the third piece to it. So if you use a common template or something like this is the first thing that I'd ask you to do, is come up with that. And then I would actually end up saving this if I was doing this. So I'm going to make a copy of this one because I want to come back to this focused note template regularly. So as a teacher, I'm going to use this. Now I'm going to use focused notes for a poetry unit. So every day when I come in, I'm actually building my focused notes template for the students. I can use that same particular piece, and then I can add in some custom pieces that might be useful for the students to get to here. So this is where we might start to layer in for them a little bit more information, things that they should focus in on. We could put the essential task or essential learning question in here, because remember, when the students aren't with us, it's a little bit harder to make sure they stay focused on that. So I've got today's lesson designed, but the idea being I've pre-created a note sheet for them that they will then fill in when they get to Notability. So let's talk about step 2. How do we get this over to Notability in a format that they can use, because it's a Google Doc here? The easy answer to that is File, Download, PDF. So if you have it in a Google Doc and you want to get it into Notability, or most applications really, and you want to get them into Notability, you need it in a PDF format. So here you can see I've got a PDF that's available, ready to go. So now I can share this out with students in whatever format makes sense for them or that we have already established. If I use Google Classroom, I'm going to share this, upload it into my Google Drive, and then I'm going to make it available to the students that way in a PDF format. So as a teacher, now I'm going to drop this PDF, the one that I just uploaded into my Google Drive, this Focused Notes Poetry Unit, into my Google Classroom. I'm going to start in classwork. In this case, I'm going to create an assignment. There it is. It's a PDF. And I can have the students just view the file because they just need to be able to actually see it. They're going to download a copy unique to their device. Now I'm going to switch over to the student view just so you can see how a student might open that file, bring it into Notability, and do something more with it, which is really the goal that we're going for here. So I'm going to go into my class. Here's my poetry focused notes. I'm going to tap on my focus notes. Again, I'm in Google Classroom. I'm now going to hit in the far upper right that arrow button, Share. I have Google Drive installed on my device here. So it opens in Google Drive. I hit the three dots. Now I am going to click Open In, Notability. Because I had Notability open already, it says, do you want to add that to the existing note that you have? In this case, I do not. I want its own unique, so I'm going to create a new note. What note would I like to give that title? Focus Notes Poetry Unit. Perfect. Where would you like to store that? So you'll notice if we're teaching students how to organize, I could have them put it in a lit folder or whatever it might be for you. Right now I can leave it in unfiled notes, but you might want to give them that instruction to them to help them stay more organized. And then we click Import. Now, notice Notability didn't automatically open for me. It won't. It'll leave me in the application that I'm in. So I'm going to go find Notability. And let's see if my Focus Notes Poetry Unit is there. Sure, it's in the Unfiled Notes area. Great. Now, I have my template for taking notes today. So hopefully that's helpful for students. Why might they take notes in Notability over just putting it in Google Docs? Well, a couple of reasons. One, for them to be able to just write right on the screen is super helpful. Two, they might be able to add really interesting features like photos, like web clips or links out to the web, like stickies. So there's things that they can add into this and move around. There's a really great video from one of our teachers in the district, Cassie Balknecht, who has really transformed her note-taking over into a digital format. And some of the things that we don't think about when students take notes that are really helpful from a focused note-taking lens is something like this. My original notes. So as students learn about a topic, they might explore the ideas in one way. But then when we ask them to reflect on those notes in later stages of note-taking, they may reorganize or rethink how the order of those notes goes. We can use the scissoring tool up on the top here to circle anything that's handwritten or drawn, move it around, resize it, so put it in different places. And we can do that several times here. So you get the general idea. We can now restructure, rethink our notes. We can add into earlier questions that we might have asked. We can add responses. We can add web links. We can add research. Those pieces are really quite foundational in our ability to teach students how to reflect on the notes that they've taken. And finally, we'll come back into that organizational piece. The ability for students to take their notes and place them in a place that makes the most sense, along with other notes that they may have taken, is a really important instructional strategy we can teach them now so that they have a better learning outcome later. This is something digitally that if we can teach students how to do this now, especially when we're increasingly online, that will be a long-term support for them as they're being asked to organize their digital lives at work, at school, or wherever it may be. So that is the process for taking a note that you've originally created in Google Docs, really getting it ready for a lesson that you'd like students to learn, and then delivering it to them in a way that they can take better notes. The last part of this that I'd like to share with you, and it will be a quick coverage, but we do have the opportunity for students to be able to see two windows side by side on the iPad. So we're going to use our Focus Notes poetry unit as an example of this. So I have a element of poetry here, a sonnet from Shakespeare that I'd like the kids just to look at and work through. That's going to be the focus for one of our resources today. And I have my Focus Note sheet, the one that we were working on earlier. What if the students need to see both side by side? There is a way to do this. I'm going to slide up from the bottom of my screen here. And because my second application, the one that I want to pull up in the side-by-side view, is in my dock, in this case it is Safari, I can pull that out. I'm going to tap and hold on it and slide it around. This will take a little bit of practice at first, but I can slide it around on the screen, and when I release it, I have a view that I can look at. So I can read the poetry here in this window, and at the same time, take notes back here. So you may be interested in doing something like that for the students, teaching them how to do this slide overview. Almost all of our students can do slide overview, and we can get it out of our way if we need to. Let's show you how to flick it off the screen so you can teach students how to do this. I'm just going to drag it off to the right and off of my screen, and then it's out of the way. And if I want to bring it back, tap and hold and bring it back. The second piece that I'm going to show you just happened there is called Slide Overview. And not all of our students can do this, but many can. So how do we know if they can do split view? Well, when they drag up from the bottom, tap and hold, if they see that black line that's there, they can release, and then they will have split view. And the advantage to split view is I can resize pretty easily. But slide over or split view will work. Generally, the idea being that they can see two screens side by side, they can resize the text on that screen, and they can take notes at the same time as looking at the resource. So there is a way for them on the iPad to see two resources side by side, whether that's in split view as you see here, or in slide overview as you see here. So we hope that helps you take a little bit better notes and to support your students as they're taking better notes in this virtual format that we're adapting to. Thanks for your time, and as always, feel free to let us know if we can help.